Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is July 14th, 2023. Sunny, what's going on in the world? Sunny.
Oh, sorry, yes. Yeah, it's the same old fuckery that was yesterday, day before, and the day before.
Uh-oh. What about the day before that?
I think we were closed.
Oh. Oh, okay. Well, this is good to know. So, all right, let's get into some of the things that kind of sort of matter. We did have some earnings that were, somewhat important. We had the banks reporting. They all seem to report well in their own little way. I think you have to look at BlackRock and be like, wow, that's kind of impressive. Kind of impressive. JPM, once again, kind of impressive. Wells Fargo, kind of impressive, kind of 57% jump in profit from earlier this year. That's that's something. It's not quite Nikola performance, but hey, it's getting there. Um, Everything that we're looking at right now, if you take the sum of all the parts, I don't know where you can find something bearish other than, we might be a little bit extended. What do you think, Sonny?
Well, I'm just going to sit on my hands and let this play out.
Which part?
All of it.
The man says all of it.
It's just, yeah, we're coming up to this level that we closed it yesterday on ES. I'm just going to sit there, watch that, see what happens there.
Yeah.
But I'm cautious today. Very cautious today.
Yeah, no, we do get that consumer sentiment number coming out. So, for the most part, that continues to work in the favorable. Vast majority of data has been working in favorable. It's very, very difficult when you have a job market that's resilient. You have, a sector that was really, really in question, like banks, and then you get a couple of financials reporting and they're reporting well. It again begs the question, okay, so can we say soft landing? Can we?
Yeah.
Stonkington, can you say soft landing?
Soft landing.
See, there you go. It's not so hard, Sonny. How about you?
Soft landing.
Soft landing. I don't know. Can we find anything that says in the data that's coming out and everything else that the landing is not going to be all that soft? Or if nothing else, can we say that, hey, maybe the worst is over for now? I don't know. These are quadrillion-dollar questions that are hanging out there that ultimately we're going to find out. But what we do know is that the flow, the thing that we watch the closest pretty much all day long, continues to be strong, continues to be extremely bullish. Still money pumping into China. We did see a little bit of cool off in some of the mid and small cap activity yesterday. We did see a little bit of a cool down there, but the thing has been so blazing white hot that, a little pause for the cause makes sense. We've also seen a couple of things lagging a little bit. AMD, Apple, they've lagged the overall move that we've had. NVIDIA is in literally a world of its own. it's like that. Nvidia reminds me of more and more of Tesla when it went from, we're talking like pre split, or it was hovering down around that, 100 level, 200 level, whatever we want to call it, and ripped to over 1,000. That's what the price action, that's what the sentiment, that's what all of that reminds me of, and looking at it. So as much as I continue to look at that chart, it's like if you look at that NVIDIA chart, you're just like, well, I can't chart it anymore. What am I charting? What am I charting? Anyways, so today is Friday. We get a little bit more data. The market still continues to have a bullish tilt. Historically, financials usually sell off after ER, but historically, financials haven't been in such a shithole that they've been in here recently. So this could be, in a lot of ways, an all clear to pump money back into financials, which could create some type of a rotation, maybe, possibly. But there's still a lot of regulatory stuff from the financial standpoint that could kind of stand in the way from a really strong and sustained move to the upside. With this being said, Sonny, what you got for us?
Today, pretty light on the upgrades, downgrades. So JP Morgan downgraded Alcoa, their neutral, the lowered price target on it. They also recommend LVS is the top gaming pick for them for the Macau's reopening, which has been ongoing for about a year now. They expect those numbers to reach above the 2019 levels sometime later this year. So they're picking LVS. So the other players are MLCO, WIN, and I think CZR.
We did see some MLCO flow come in, I think either yesterday or day before yesterday.
Yeah, and I think they're also going to be put out their monthly data out for the gaming revenues. So that should give it a little bit tilt. UBS upgraded Microsoft. They say it's too good not to buy here. Sort of like how they got a gap up, about $5-6 gap up on it. They raised their price target to 400 from the 345. Catalyst, they say, is that the cloud spending, infrastructure spending has stabilized. It had dipped quite a bit earlier this year, and AI as being the catalyst, and Microsoft is at top of that heap when it comes to AI. TCS Capital has acquired a big stake in Yelp, and they're exploring sale to look for some movement in that. If anything comes out, Deal Reporter puts out a tweet or something like that, it could have some movement. ROIV, they are looking to sell their drugs. So they make the Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis disease drug to Roche for $7 billion. It did get a spike on it last week when the same news came out. Now they're talking about they're getting very close to the sale. China side, the China Central Bank had signaled more economic support, backing off of their foot on the IT companies' neck. They're also reducing the regulations to bring in more global investors. And there has been more and more news coming out how they are opening more bigger factories in like India and other companies and other countries, because as we've heard, okay, people want to move out of China. So what China's doing is moving out their factories to other countries. So you still do business with China, just in other countries. Other was Plug Power. We saw some 1350 call flow in it. So they signed up a pretty big deal out in Europe. They didn't see how much money, but it's their largest announced project in oil and gas sector in Europe.
Wow. How are they performing this morning on the plug?
They hit 1350 this morning.
That's unbelievable. That flow came in. It looked so fucking goofy yesterday.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? We're looking at this goofy flow coming like 0.105s came in, and when it was 95, it would be like, yeah, it's never going to happen. And it hit 109. So,
for today, it's like that. Yeah. That sucker could. Who knows where it could go today?
Yeah. So yeah, it's like you kind of see this outlandish flow and still goes for it. Disney, we see a whole lot of thumping into the 91s for this week. The news on that is Iger is at this summer camp for the billionaires in Sun Valley, Idaho, where the media guys go talk about it. So they're looking at the headline they put out: Disney could move away from TV networks. So he's trying to do more and more on Disney Plus. Also looking to buy this Hulu stake from Comcast and partner it with Disney Plus.
She says that thing has been such a hot potato for so long. Hulu.
Yeah,
But
Hulu has been bouncing. They keep changing the name every 6 months on it.
Mm-hmm.
Keep bouncing it around. And also on the ESPN side, he said they're still looking for partner to do some stuff on ESPN, but they're not going to fully let it. They're looking to reduce more and more out on TV side and focus more on the side.
Yeah, and plus they got the strike officially started, right?
Yeah, the actor strike started yet.
Yep.
I think networks are going to use that as a leverage to cut their costs and
well, they've already been
themselves.
doing that, right? It's like they've really been cutting costs. It's like they've been eliminating a lot of studio jobs for probably the last 2 months in anticipation of this, and they've also held back a bunch of titles to be released to go ahead and fill the gap.
Yeah, and they pushed out like the ones from 2020, especially the Marvel series from 2024, a lot of it 2025, because they got to put it out in a certain way for the next big push. So if one gets delayed, the rest of the series gets delayed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So they've been doing that quite a bit on. We saw quite a bit of flow in Hood also the other day because of the XRP judgment that came out yesterday. But they're also expanding the services to include retirement accounts, not just YOLO boys now. And I get some old people in there. And yesterday we saw a whole bunch of SPACs that have been dormant for a long time, sitting around their 1050. Moved quite a bit because a couple of mergers went through. So the ones that I saw yesterday, I'll put out the names: Rose, EDTX, GGAA, RCLF, Pool, ARBB, PRFX, NTRB, Lunar. And this Lunar has moved quite a bit earlier. They tested some spaceship the other day, so that could get some movement. Watch those names. I'll post it in the room so anybody wants to play those, keep an eye on those.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
All right, very good. Stonk, what you got for us, buddy?
All right. Test number 2. Can Hells accept a screen share? Are you ready?
I am in mass anticipation. I sat there game planning this in my mind all night. Last night was all I could think about was properly executing the screen share.
We got it. It looks like me. We got it.
I'm pretty sure we're rocking and rolling over here, man.
All right.
Second day in a row, dude.
All right. We got charts. Now, the other mind-blowing thing is I heard a good story yesterday about sports. Are you ready for me to talk about sports?
It was beyond that they play with balls, right? The story was more than that.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Good.
Multiple levels. All right. So I said one of my favorite books that I've gotten to so far is that Best Loser Wins. The I don't know how you say that his name there, but yeah, this was one of my favorite ones. Best Loser Wins. Basically, the mark of an top trader is how do you perform when you're down, when you're getting smoked? Can you trade well? And then I heard this story. Here's the book for anyone's. Yeah, that's the one. Good book. So then I hear the story about a Mr. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was known to be a gambler, loved the gambling. And there was one day he was out playing some golf on the day that they had a playoff game that night. And he's gambling. Guy takes his money on the first 18. And Michael Jordan's like, fuck that. Let's go again. Double or nothing. Guy's like, all right, I smoked you. Let's play again. Double or nothing. Michael Jordan gets smoked. He's they're drinking all day. He's pissed, and the guy's just laughing. And he's like, "Don't you have a playoff game tonight? And you drank 12 Bud Lights today? I'm taking all your money that I just won off you, Michael Jordan, and I'm putting it on the other guys." And Michael Jordan goes out and fucking smoke show, crushes the competition, and basically just takes the guy's money right back. You don't bet against the champ. So that was one where I'm like, all right, that's a good way to think of that, because it's like I definitely, when I was really new, I was struggling. If I got smoked and then you start trading like a dummy, it's just never going to work out well. So it's like you got to have that mindset. You got to have that confidence in your own ability to bring it back. So that was a good one. I was like, yeah, I like that Michael Jordan mindset. That's a good sports guy right there. All right. Let's look at the charts. I messed up yesterday morning. I didn't have enough above for us to be looking at. So the fibs worked out pretty well that I threw on there. But now I've got some more stuff for us to look at here. So this is an hourly. Gold boxes are daily fair value gaps. So again, we've left behind on our big green candles some gold boxes with these big rips up, and then this one is jumping all the way back over to here. This is the bottom of this last gold box right there. So that's going based on yesterday's high. Where do we go? To the bottom of that other daily candle over there is to fill in. So that would be our first upside target if we start pushing, would be 45.62. And then above, these are anything blue is going to be like hourly or 4-hour fair value gap. So if we really start running, we can see this much longer term trend line. We're pretty far away from it, but we would have up here 43.1650. And then if our first downside target, I'd be looking for, if we were to push to the downside, I'd be looking for the reaction to 546. Below that, it looks like we had some bounces around this area here. This one. So this could be, this looked like some interesting support in this area here on the ES. But the other thing we can see is, until we really started getting going, there's no gaps in here. Yesterday it was just kind of like a melt up, and then we popped, but we even retraced this one big candle. So we filled all this in, very balanced price action. So if we were to lose this, it's like, there's nobody that really got caught off sides on the push yesterday, just because we kind of bounced around. So if we start selling off, we don't have a lot of Mr. T stuff in this area until we get down to these daily fair value gaps, all the way down there at 45.0925. So just going to kind of see what we get there on the ES. Kind of like Sonny said, it's Friday. You don't want to get smoked going into the weekend. Just kind of chill, see what we get. If we jump over to the NASDAQ, let's see. All right, so this one, I'm like, maybe we want to work on a flag here. Maybe if we came down to like this area here, we could be working on like a little bull flag type of setup here. Let's see. So below, we've got this blue box, little fair value gap on the hourly. You can see pretty well there. Let's see. And then, so this would, if we had to push to the downside, this would be a first downside target down there at 21.75. And then, if I was like looking at a weekly, so I was like, who do we need to stop out who got short above still? So this would be the next guy. And then we could also even look at this as like a weekly order block, because it was an up close candle before an aggressive sell on the weekly. And then kind of continued to zoom out here and found some additional fair value gaps above after yesterday. I was like, man, we really do need more upside targets here on the NASDAQ. So if we switch over to the 4-hour, we've got that's that top of that last resistance line there on the NASDAQ. So if we stop that, short out. Next, we've got a fair value gap above. A long way to go to get there. And then we can see there's our downside target. And again, similar to what we mentioned on the ES, very balanced price action on the way up. So this, and the gold boxes would still be our daily gaps. So if I've been watching the reaction down here, 456.50. We've got this important order block line that we talked about earlier in the week. That'll be that 393. So just going to kind of see what we get. But yeah, if we push to the downside, first reaction would be this area here. So we'll just kind of be calling that out in the room, see what we get. Russell, let's see. This one on the hourly, I think I saw this already popped what looked like a bull flag there here on the Russell on the hourly. That was this one here. Maybe we'll get a retest of the flag right now. So that we had that. We've got this trend line that we kind of been continuing to reject above. I went back and found some fair value gaps that we did have above. So this could be some upside targets, which would kind of line up if we tried to continue to tag this trend line. So we've got all the way up to 1972.30. And then these are some smaller fair value gaps above. Downside targets, first I'd be looking for the reaction to this order block line. This would be the midpoint of this candle here. Based on the fact that, it was we would think of this candle as a bull who wanted to get in cheaper because it was followed by the push up. So we'd look at the midpoint of this candle. And then if we lose that, then we've got these gold boxes still are going to be daily fair value gaps there below. So that's kind of what I'll be looking for here on the Russell. If we jump into some individual tickers, I kind of switched it up a little bit from some of what I usually have on the list. We're going to check out AMD because I was kind of listening in from the office yesterday that Hells had a good call out that it lagged. So, if it's time for AMD to catch up and get into party mode with the rest of the market, could be a good watch. We've got above this 116.60. You can see the importance of that line repeatedly come into play. Support now working as resistance kind of thing. And then to the downside, I'll be watching this 113.90. Very similar, see if resistance would be support. You can clearly see the reactions to those lines on AMD. And then the other one that was really interesting, I posted the dark pools in the room, would be Pan W. We had that headline earlier this week where, Microsoft announced some competition security software, and then these Crowd and Pan W took a hit when Microsoft put out that headline. But then last night they hit Pan W with this dark pool here. 15% of average 30-day. We're sitting on it. That came in at 239.02. So that's my main focus. I have a very conservative call trigger, but really I'm going to be looking at this dark pool. So if we pushed, maybe this would be if we bounce off this dark pool and start pushing, this could be like a first take profit area. Really would be that 243.15. If we start pushing to the downside, I'll be watching this 236.65. And otherwise, just kind of see what we get. Could be a good one for some Lotto Friday activity with the big dark pool. That's all I got.
I think there's some interesting Lotto Friday activities. I think Apple has some pretty strong move to the upside, but Sun reminded me earlier as far as rebalancing. Apple and Tesla it seems like they've run damn near every Friday for the past couple of months that they've made strong moves. Now, Tesla reports next week. If you look at the Tesla chart, if it gets over 280, it's going to fly. And we did get some spec 287.50 calls for this week come in towards the end of the day yesterday. So you can see how, and Stonking is nice enough to put that chart up there. You can see how it's kind of priming out a little bit to make a move. It is entirely possible that Tesla has one of those Fridays that is they kind of shakes the foundation a little bit because again, it has lagged and really hasn't gone anywhere. And it seems like the chart, but we haven't gotten the Tesla explosion. But Friday seemed to be Tesla's favorite day to go ahead and rock the upside. Apple again being the other one. That chart is very intriguing. How it's kind of formed this little bottom base around this 188 level, and it's looking like it wants to make a move higher from here. We'll see, but Apple is still Apple, and Apple has definitely lagged after making those all-time highs. It has definitely had a pullback. It has definitely had some consolidation. So looking for Apple to make that next move, I think could be ultimately the next leg up in the market. We know what happens when Apple decides to be strong and go for it. We know what happens. So Apple is looking like it, to me and to my eye, there's more of a move to the upside than downside there. But I guess we'll see how that kind of shakes out. What I'm not seeing on Apple necessarily is any near-term put flow. Not seeing that, but have seen some decent little lines to the upside, further dated up into that 200 level. So that's kind of where my eyes are. AMD, absolutely, my eyes are peeled on that. We could get some interesting flow, lotto flow today, and then flow into next week on AMD. That could be, because look at that. It's like that. You get that pop and go, and it's like we can't forget that before this drawdown on AMD, they were very emphatic on hitting September and August 140 to 150 calls on AMD.
Yep.
Now, it sounds a little bit ridiculous. You're like, well, come on, Hells, what the fuck is wrong with you? But if you look at the move, what Nvidia's up, 40 points in 3 days? 3 days.
Just ridiculous.
40 points in 3 days, if I'm right about that. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems about right. That sector, one way or the other, is the one that everybody's banking on for the future, and AMD is lagging. There's not another semi that looks like what NVIDIA does. So do they catch up while they consolidate this massive move on NVIDIA, and so some of the other semis catch up? I don't know. We'll let the flow decide, but that's kind of where my eyes are today. In addition to that, any type of longer term bank flow. I was disappointed after the stress test and not seeing any type of real long dated bank flow. Now we had the ERs. What are they doing with JPM? What are they doing with Wells Fargo? What are we seeing with the BlackRock? What are we seeing there? Also, Pepsi. They reported well and they guided along with DAL. Same story. They reported yesterday. What is that flow going to look like moving forward? Do they consolidate this move, or are they going to go ahead and try to pump the PEP to all-time highs? I have massive issues with the outlook that Pepsi is putting out there. They're banking on the consumer basically having just never-ending strength. That seems like it could be a mistake in a lot of ways, but ultimately we'll let the flow decide which way the PEP wants to move. And if it's not PEP, you can probably look at Coca-Cola the same way. But yeah, that's kind of where my eyes are. You guys have anything else?
I do not. That's good stuff.
All right, boys and girls, we have 10 minutes until open. 10 minutes until open. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Stonkington. That's all I got.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you soon.
See ya.